Welcome to the Traveling Cheesehead Podcast, where real stories, local voices, and unforgettable destinations come together. This is Destination Diaries, conversations with people who know their destinations best.
Hi friends, I'm Dannelle Gay, the Traveling Cheesehead. Travel writer, TV host, and someone who believes the best trips don't start with a bucket list, they start with a conversation. Every week, I sit down with someone who knows their destination inside and out to uncover the stories, flavors, and experiences that make it truly worth the trip. After the break, you'll meet this week's guest. So grab a cup of coffee, of course in your travel mug, and let's hit the road. Okay, we're back. So buckle up and get ready for a fun ride. This is an area that I visited myself, absolutely love. So I can't wait to introduce my guest for today. I'm thrilled to be joined by Eric, and he is in Laurel Highlands in the beautiful Pennsylvania. So Eric, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Dannelle. So excited to be here with you and talk about Pennsylvania's Laurel Highlands.
Oh, it is just gorgeous. I'm so excited to have you here. And before we dive into the fun stuff, why don't you tell our listeners just a little bit about yourself and what you do that helps make the Laurel Highlands such a great place to visit?
Absolutely. So my title is the Director of Public Relations and Community Outreach for an organization called Go Laurel Highlands. And so that is a really long title, but what it means is I get to do a lot of fun stuff that people do when they're on vacation. So I get to go see Frank Lloyd Wright houses, and I get to go whitewater rafting and cycling. And, I have to do some work in between as well, but I do get to do a lot of those fun things with travel journalists and content creators. And so it's an amazing job. I grew up in this region. I love it. And I think that passion usually comes through when I talk with people about the region.
Oh, it really does. And when you were taking us around, I mean, your eyes shine with excitement and some of the things that, you really do. And you were working. I know you were saying, and then I work sometime. You were working, and to put those itineraries together and make the plans and the logistics, that's a lot of work on the back end. I know that a lot of people think that travel writers just get free trips, but the trip is just the beginning. We plan in advance for what shots we're going to take, and then the stories and articles and what to do afterwards. It is all work. And my friend, you were enjoying it, yes, but you were working. So
well,
don't
it's a lot of work to make it look like it's all fun, right? But that's what we do. There are so many fun things to do, and we get to enjoy them, but we have to work sometimes to make sure that the people understand that and see the great things that we have.
Exactly. And that's what makes it fun for me, is to be able to go through and do some of these things so that, between you and I, we're helping them see what really cool things there are when they come and they don't have to work.
Absolutely. And I thank you for that. Thank you for sharing it with your listeners.
Yes. So we're going to just jump right into the questions here. What makes your destination special? The thing that really surprises most first-time visitors that maybe they don't expect when they arrive, but they end up talking about long after they leave?
I think it's the depth of the experiences, because we have a couple of different personas that we think visit the Laurel Highlands, and maybe they're interested in outdoor recreation and they don't realize all the Frank Lloyd Wright properties, or maybe they're those architectural lovers and they don't realize, the food and beverage scene that we have, or, they come for something and then they find so many different things. They don't know that the French and Indian War started here. That there are just so many things going on that they don't recognize all of those, and then they realize, hey, I'm going to need to come back because I didn't plan enough time here.
Absolutely. And that's kind of funny. I did a podcast at the end of season 1 that talks about travel themes, that you don't need to see everything in an area and run around checking every single thing off the list like a frantic person where you're not really there in the moment. It's what do you like the most, whether you're the foodie or the architecture or the outdoors, and you can pick 1 or 2 other themes to tie in with it. But going to someone like you saying, I want to come to your area and I'm a big foodie who loves history. I mean, having your travel themes makes it so easy to be in the moment, relax, and really connect with that destination you're in.
Yeah, and so I go to travel shows all over the country, and I connect with journalists and content creators, and I start telling them about my region, and I tell them all these things that we have, and they look at me and they say, "How have I never heard of this place?" And I say, "Well, that's why I'm here, right? I'm here to let you know about the Pennsylvania's Laurel Highlands and why you should come experience it for yourself."
And then tell all your friends.
Exactly.
Okay, so depending on people's vacation times, some people only have that one weekend to get away. So let's say someone only has 48 hours to go to the Laurel Highlands. And without knowing in advance, their travel themes, what would the perfect 2-day itinerary look like? Kind of like an absolute must see, must do, and must experience highlight of the area.
All right. Well, like I said, it's you can't do all of it. As you said, you can't do everything in 48 hours, but some of the highlights, I'd start out with a ride on the Great Allegheny Passage. So we have one of the best bike trails in America that runs right through the Laurel Highlands. Starts in Pittsburgh. You can ride 150 miles to Cumberland, Maryland. And I believe about 98 of that is through the Laurel Highlands. It is generally regarded as one of the top 2 in the country by most lists that I see. So it's a fantastic ride. I'd say get out on the Salisbury Viaduct, a 125-year-old bridge near Myersdale. You're 101 feet above the ground. And to me, it just kind of sums up Americana, because on this old railroad bridge, you're riding across farmland, you're riding across a 4-lane highway, and you're riding across a railroad, which to me, when you look at those, like we have a picture that won a photo contest last year of it, and it sums up Americana to me like that. It's like, okay, this is rural America. This is what we're looking at. The farmland, the railroad, the highway, it's kind of where we've come over the past 150 years in this nation. So love that start with the sunrise in the background, gorgeous. And then you can hop in the car and visit Flight 93, the National Memorial, which it can be a somber place. It's dedicated to the crash of United Airlines Flight 93, which this year marks the 25th anniversary of 9/11, which is hard to believe for those of us who lived through it and remember it. But it's such a powerful place. I think every American should experience that at least once. And it can be really, really difficult. It can be powerful. Like in the visitor center, if you want to choose to listen to them, they have phone calls that passengers aboard that flight made and left voicemails or answering machine messages for their loved ones. And I get chills every time I think about it and talk about it. But they're reaching out to their loved ones and saying, "Hey, I'm probably not going to make it home." Like, I mean, it's a really powerful experience, and it can be tough. But then you leave the visitor center and you go outside, and there are some outdoor experiences like the Wall of Names that commemorates those who lost their lives in it. And then the 93-foot tall Tower of Voices, which has 40 wind chimes, the number of passengers and crew members aboard the flight. And you hear that and you just kind of soak that in. And in some ways, it's an uplifting experience. You can still appreciate the tragedy of that day and the lives lost, but you can also say, hey, this was the beginning of fighting back on that war and terror, and it really unified the nation, bringing that all together. So I think it's something that every American should go and see at least once. And then after that, you might need a drink. So we'll head over to Pond Fay Distillery. I mentioned that Pennsylvania is the birthplace of American whiskey, which a lot of people don't know. The Laurel Highlands, before bourbon was the whiskey of choice, it was Monongahela Rye, which was born right here in southwestern Pennsylvania. So go to Pond Fay, which is quickly developing a reputation as one of the top distilleries in Pennsylvania. That Pennsylvania Rye really gaining a name for itself. So that's the place to go and check that out. And then just a little taste in there, because we're going to hop back in the car to get to Polymath Park for a dinner at Treetops Restaurant. And just so you can just imagine a chef-curated 4.5-course meal served in a private treehouse-style dining pod. But I guess you don't have to imagine it, Dannelle. You got to experience that for yourself.
I don't want to say surreal. It was stunning. I mean, the food was incredible. I mean, I'm a chef, and half the time I'm at a restaurant and I'm like, ooh, what would I have done to make this better? Or I'm like, ooh, how am I going to make this at home? And every single detail about that menu was absolutely over the top fabulous. Plus then your view, and it's cozy. So it's not like you're in a booth or a small section in a big restaurant. You're in your own separate little treehouse. The service was amazing. It is a heck of an experience. And anyone going to your area definitely needs to put that at the top of their list and build the rest of their itinerary around it, because it's an outdoor experience. It's a culinary experience. It's a history. It's an architecture. It's everything all in one, and just fabulous.
I should let you talk about the Laurel Highlands. I love it, Dannelle. You're doing a great job. But then, yeah, and then you can spend the night, which you got to do as well. You can spend the night in a house designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. I know, you've got a lot of listeners in Wisconsin. They know they're Frank Lloyd Wright. They're passionate about the architecture, and there aren't a whole lot of opportunities in the U.S. for people to stay in a Frank Lloyd Wright house overnight. So that's a great option as well. You've got Mäntylä and the Duncan House, both there on property that you can stay in. And then we'll get you up and going again in the morning with some more adventure. You can head to Ohiopyle State Park, and you can either, if your pace is a little slower, you can do the Middle Yock, which is almost like a lazy river float with a couple of rapids in it, or you can go more adventurous and get onto the twos and threes of the lower Youghiogheny River, which American Whitewater says is one of the most popular and dependable runs in the eastern U.S. So probably not something people think of when they think of Pennsylvania is whitewater rafting, but a great option there as well. And then, of course, if you're in the Laurel Highlands, you have to go to Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water, UNESCO World Heritage Site, judged the greatest all-time work of American architecture. If you're listening and you're not sure what Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water is, you've probably seen the pictures. It's the house that looks like it was built over top of a waterfall. The stream comes right underneath it, and just it's a bucket list experience for people all over the world.
It's probably one of the most photographed pieces beside the Guggenheim Museum and Taliesin East and West. I think those are the four that are photographed the most, and it's an iconic building. It's incredible.
So we crammed a lot in there. I'm giving you a little bit of time to rest up in the afternoon and take off, but we got a lot into 48 hours there.
Well, and I think you've covered nature, history, architecture, food, outdoor experiences, yes, and then paying tribute to the heroes who chose to fight and bring a plane down instead of letting it hit a target that would have been more of a mass destruction kind of those people really were heroes.
And like I said, it's such you're definitely going to get chills there if you get to go to Flight 93 and experience that, especially those who lived through it. It's amazing to me now that, we've got generations who don't remember 9/11, or it's been, as I said, 25 years almost. So you do have that. But yeah, if you remember that day, it is just a really somber experience, but also uplifting in some ways.
Yeah, how it pulled us all together. So, okay, we touched on food a little bit there. So I personally think food is such a huge part of travel. It ties you into the destination, its history, the people, the culture there. What is one local food or drink that visitors absolutely have to try? And where is the best place to get the real deal?
I'm going to go back to the whiskey for this one, the Pennsylvania rye whiskey. We talked about it a little bit, but the birthplace of American whiskey. So Old Overholt, which is believed to be the oldest continuously distilled whiskey in the U.S. It's now part of Jim Beam, the company that owns them, but it was born right here in the Laurel Highlands. And if you go to West Overton, where it started, they now feature a whiskey museum dedicated to Pennsylvania whiskey, with Jim Beam as a partner in that. And they also have an educational distillery. So you can go there and you got to try Jasper's Stash, which is 80% rye, 20% malted barley. And it's named after the famed two-headed calf that was born there in 1922. So it's a great whiskey, but it's also got a really good story behind the name and the picture on the bottle of the two-headed calf. So really interesting blend of history and of distillery and where our roots kind of come from in the Laurel Highlands. So West Overton does such a great job of tying that all together. That again, great option that you get your history and your food and drink kind of in one place there at West Overton.
Well, and I did a flight tasting there. So everybody who listens to this knows that I am a Wisconsin brandy gal. I will die on a hill holding a brandy old fashioned. But I was like, oh, I could drink more of this. It was different than bourbon and different than whiskey. So it was very different than the Tennessee or the Kentucky experience. And one of them, I was like, ooh, if I wasn't flying, I would take a bottle home. Because it was a great, like, sipping whiskey, on an evening after a long day, after a big supper, just a little sipping whiskey. But yeah, it is an experience. And the museum was really cool to see the history of it and how it was all done and the area in there and all the bottles with all the different kinds of labels and things like that. It was a fascinating thing to see.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we just touched a little on the history. Now that's our next question. Tell me about a piece of hidden history or like a story from your area in the Laurel Highlands that visitors don't know, but probably should.
Okay. And I hope people know this, but I think probably most don't. Like I said, first off, Fort Necessity National Battlefield. This is where a 22-year-old George Washington served. And nearby Jumonville Glen is where the first shots of the French and Indian War were fired, which I grew up not that far from there, and I didn't realize it until a few years ago that the French and Indian War started right in here in the Laurel Highlands. And the Battle of Fort Necessity in July of that year was Washington's only military surrender. So I got to cram in one more, though, again, George Washington related. He also served at Fort Ligonier. My office is here in Ligonier, just a block from the fort. So again, part of the Laurel Highlands. And there was a thing there called the Friendly Fire Incident. And what that was it was a foggy day. They ended up firing upon one another, two parts of the same army. And Washington went along, and the legend goes that he took his sword and was hitting the muskets up in the air to keep them from firing upon one another. And he said later in life, after he was president, that was the most peril that he ever felt his life was in, was during that Friendly Fire Incident. And what makes it so interesting is just last year, 267 years later, they finally confirmed that they know where that incident took place, because they did a big archaeological dig, and Smithsonian Magazine just did a fascinating cover article on this. So it's really right now something that, even though it was 267 years ago, it's something that is really prominent right now and people are really talking a lot about.
So, I mean, you and I are recording this a little earlier than it's airing. So about the time it's airing, Young Washington is the new movie from Angel Studios coming out. July 3rd, I believe, is when it's being released. And I wonder, because it talks about his early time. I wonder, is your area covered in the movie at all, or do you know?
That's a good question. I don't know about that. I do know the American Revolution, the docuseries from Ken Burns. The beginning of it is all set in the Laurel Highlands. Whenever they're talking about some of those things before you get, we kind of build it as the road to the revolution started here in the Laurel Highlands with George Washington.
There are some people, they really love, I call it set jetting, where movies are shot or where movies are based about, or TV shows they like to go. So now you just got Laurel Highlands added as a set jetting destination because of the Young Washington movie coming out.
There we go. We got that one. And there's one coming out about Milton Hershey that they filmed some of the scenes right here in front of our shop. They had it mimicking Hershey, Pennsylvania, but it was shot here in Ligonier.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah.
Chocolate. Okay. No. Now, if visitors really want to meet local people and feel a part of the community, not just kind of pass through, where should they go or what should they do?
So I thought long and hard about this one. I think Summer Sounds Concert Series in Greensburg is the place that I would recommend. This was ranked as the second best outdoor concert series in the U.S. by USA Today readers last year. and it's completely free. It's every Friday. They have different kinds of artists that come and play, and people will show up with lawn chairs, a bottle of wine, maybe some cheese or a picnic dinner. And it's such a community event. Everybody comes together, both literally and figuratively, for these shows. And it's such a great experience because it's small town. It's a free show. Anybody can come out, enjoy it. And it's just so popular. And it really does bring the community together. And I think if you are an outsider, you come in, you'll be welcomed and be a part of it immediately.
Wisconsiners, we have the concerts on the square in Madison and different places like that. So they can very easily picture, for us in Madison, I mean, there's the grounds around the Capitol Square, all the blankets, the restaurants around can sell different charcuterie boxes and things, or you bring your own picnic, and we listen to the Wisconsin Symphony Orchestra. And so, yeah, that is such an incredible, neat thing. If your corkscrew's not working, someone who gets over will lend you one, or extra napkins if the kid has a problem. I mean, it is such an incredible way to just be in the moment, especially with other people. So fabulous.
Yeah. And we talked about it a little bit off air. I think there are a lot of similarities between Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, and kind of the backgrounds of the people, and just the way we treat each other. I think there are definitely a lot of similarities.
Yes, you're Midwest nice, even though you're not Midwest.
Yeah, Western Pennsylvania kind of faces an identity crisis sometimes, because we're like, well, we're not really Northeast. We're not lumped in with Philly and New York and those cities, because we're a lot nicer than that, but we're not really Midwest. So there's sometimes like, wait, where do we fit in with Pittsburgh? And it's kind of Appalachia, but yeah, a lot of different things going on.
Maybe you're not meant to fit in. Maybe you're meant to stand out.
I like that. I like it.
There you go. New tagline. I'll charge you. So we just talked about a free concert experience, and that's kind of the next question here. Travel doesn't have to be expensive to be memorable. What is a great way to explore the Laurel Highlands when you're on a budget?
There's so many great ways. First of all, we're within a day's drive of 23% of the U.S. population. So a lot of people can get to us on a family trip without having to pay for expensive plane tickets, things like that. Hop in the car, come see us. But once you get here, there's so many free things to do. First of all, our state parks are free. So that is a huge draw. We have a ton of state parks here in the Laurel Highlands. And we talked a little bit before about the Great Allegheny Passage. So I would say our trails are really the way to do it. You can hop on the Great Allegheny Passage. And if you're really ambitious and you want to ride that 150 miles from Pittsburgh to Cumberland, you can do it with some campground stays along the way, or an Airbnb or a hotel if you want to go. You need an actual bed after 50 miles on a bike. I get that. But you can also do the Laurel Highlands hiking trail, which is a 70-mile through trail. And I love this trail. It's celebrating its 50th anniversary in 2026. And it's got conveniently located overnight shelters that I believe are $8 a night to reserve a shelter. So you go there and you don't have to carry a tent with you. They've got firewood there. They've got, in most cases, some access to water. So it's a great option. You can hike all day, stay there for $8 a night, and really just soak up what the Laurel Highlands is all about. And most of our trails, like with the Laurel Highlands hiking trail, as our name implies, the Laurel Highlands, we have tons of mountain laurel here. And if you hit that trail at the right time, you'll walk through these canopies covered by mountain laurel. And it's almost like a tunnel effect. And it's such a cool thing to be out on an 80-degree summer day and have it, drop 10 degrees inside of that little tunnel. And then you've got the canopy overhead for most of it. So summer, it's wonderful. You're shaded from the heat. And then in the fall, you get this brilliant burst of color. I know Door County is famous for its great fall foliage, but the Laurel Highlands is fabulous as well. I haven't been to Wisconsin in the fall, but I would stack our fall foliage up against just about anybody in the country.
It sounds fabulous because, well, in Wisconsin, I don't know about you, but sometimes if it's too dry, too hot, and just how it hits, all of a sudden, once in a while, we don't get fall foliage. It's just like, oh, brown overnight. not fair. But yes, outdoor experiences and $8 to stay in a hut.
Yeah.
You cannot get a hotel room for $8. You can't get a campground for $8, even if you just want a car camp. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. It's fabulous.
I'm going to throw one more in here for you real quick. What is your favorite only here experience? Something visitors truly can't do anywhere else but at Laurel Highlands.
Well, I think it's standing on one of the cantilevered terraces at falling water and listening and hearing the sounds of the waterfall, looking out over it and just realizing what a monumental piece of architecture this is. Or you can go across the iconic view and see across Bear Run, the stream that runs through it, and get that photo that you said, one of the most photographed places in American architecture, to see that and just be a part of it. I believe I've been there 27 times in the past 3 years, and it's still a moving experience every time. It's incredible.
It is the brilliance that he had, what he put together and how he blended his whole, train of thought. It's, for me, as someone who, we have his birthplace in Wisconsin, and then as I travel, I get to go to Mason City, Iowa, and then to Laurel Highlands and all these other places that have his buildings, seeing the evolution of his work through his career. And I'm like, oh yeah, this was in his plywood phase. Oh, this is where he finally learned how to joint glass without putting a seam on the windows. And, so for me, it's fun to be in any of these places and see where in his career this fit in. It's absolutely incredible. Falling Water is just definitely a beautiful place. I'm going to just throw one more out here for you real quick. So this is like kind of a tagline for you. You haven't been to the Laurel Highlands unless you've had a banana split on the park bench next to the statue of Mr. Rogers, where both of those were born. How about that? I don't know if that's a tagline, but it's one of those kind of underrated things that, people don't realize that Mr. Rogers was born here in Latrobe, and the banana split was born in the same town, and so was Arnold Palmer. So you could even have the Arnold Palmer drink with you. I'm not going to recommend a Rolling Rock because it's no longer made here, but it was born here. So all four of those born in the tiny little town of Latrobe. I think it's got maybe 8,000 residents, and it's home to all of that history. I definitely need to come back because I have not had a Arnold Palmer where it was invented, a banana split where it was invented. And how can you say no to Mr. Rogers? I mean, talk about a legend who set generations of people off in the world of kindness and to look for the helpers out there. So now I got to say thank you so much, Eric. I know this was just a snippet of your area. When I was there, we haven't even talked about like the Cary blast furnace or how you can do your own ironworks, or, oh my gosh, there were so many, the Big Mac Museum. I mean, there's so much to Laurel Highlands, everybody. So I want to thank Eric for sharing his local expertise and insider tips with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure learning a little bit more about Laurel Highlands, and I'm sure the listeners are ready to plan their next adventure.
Thank you, Dannelle, not just for having me on, but for what you do in spreading the message about travel and tourism and helping people guide them, because it's tough sometimes to know where you want to go and what there is to do. So whenever you have a voice of experience like yours that can share that with people, it's so appreciated.
Oh, that's so kind of you to say. So listeners, if you ever find yourself in the Laurel Highland area of Pennsylvania, you've got to check out Eric's recommendations. I've been there. I'm going to drop some links into the show notes about articles from things that I have done there, and also information about the Laurel Highlands so that you can easily find more updates, travel tips, and local stories from this area, and then plan your own adventures. So, Eric, thanks again so much for being a part of this. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
If today's conversation made you think, yeah, I want to go there, then we have done our job.
You've been listening to the Traveling Cheesehead Podcast. Subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with your best travel buddies. Check back for another Destination Diaries episode every week. Thanks for listening. This has been a Traveling Cheesehead production.
I'm Dannelle Gay, reminding you that adventure doesn't always mean far away. Sometimes it's just one great story away. See you on the road beyond the exits.